splashdown.
NASA astronauts splashed down to Earth in the first US water landing in 45 years. 9 weeks after the first commercial rocket to carry astronauts was launched to the International Space Station, the mission was completed, with the craft splashing down to the Gulf of Mexico. It's the first space capsule to land in water in 45 years, in US water that is, ending a test flight for the new astronaut taxi service provided by the Californian firm SpaceX. Our science correspondent Rebecca Morell reports.
We're now just about
200 meters. We are braced for splashdown.
Copy, brace for splashdown.
History in the making as the Dragon capsule returns home.
As you can see on your screen, we have visual confirmation for splashdown.
The first private spacecraft to bring astronauts back to Earth.
One of the President Trump's top medical advisors says the US is entering a new phase in the coronavirus pandemic. A BBC investigation has found the number of deaths from coronavirus in Iran is nearly 3 times higher than admitted. The capital region of the Philippines is bringing back a stricter form of quarantine for 2 weeks to tackle a surge in Covid-19 cases. It follows a warning from doctors and nurses that the country was losing the fight against the disease.
One of the top doctors on the White House Covid-19 task force has warned that the US has entered a new phase in its fight against the virus. Deborah Birx said the disease was now a greater threat than when the outbreak began, and cautioned people living in rural areas they were not immune. More than 200,000 people have now died from coronavirus in Latin America and the Caribbean. Brazil and Mexico account for nearly 3/4 of those deaths. The number of deaths make it the second hardest hit region in the world after Europe. Muslim worshippers have performed the last ritual of the annual Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, an event that's been limited this year by the coronavirus pandemic. No more than 10,000 people were allowed to attend. The Saudi authorities say no virus infections were reported.
Muslims have taken part in the last rites of passage for the yearly Hajj pilgrimage by walking around the cube-shaped Kaaba in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Worshippers followed markings on the ground and wore face masks to comply with coronavirus restrictions. Last year, some 2.5 million pilgrims took part, but this year, as few as 1,000 people already residing in Saudi Arabia were allowed to perform the Hajj. And Microsoft says it's going to continue talks to buy the US operations of TikTok. President Trump recently threatened to ban the Chinese-owned video-sharing app in America over concerns about Beijing using phone applications to tap into personal information. TikTok insists it has strict control on employees' access to its data. Microsoft hopes to have discussions over a purchase finalised by the middle of next month.